So thank you, Hallie, for this great intro. I have a couple of more questions.
Sure.
So could you touch upon how you have revived the age-old worship, the original form of worship, with regard to Devi worship in Bengal, the tantric traditions and all that, and how things changed, post-British era, and what were the influences that came in, and so how you have revived the old form of worship.
So I think the problem with Bengal and also with the northern states is because there has been no central mutt. Because when you have big mutt, like institute like Shankaracharya, Sringeri and all, so they kind of act as a repository of Hinduism. So they are like influencers, I would say.
The
So
keepers of the
the keepers of
tradition.
the tradition. So
Huh.
so even if there has been attacks, the mutt existed and they kind of re-established all the traditions in place. But what happened with Bengal and also with the rest of northern India is that because of the political conquests and all those things, these mutt tradition got exterminated. So consequently, lots of these traditions get lost, and most importantly, I think the aesthetics of puja gets lost. For example, I'll give you one example. So the ideal is, so you have a ritual ceremony where you bathe the goddess every day, the 3 days of Saptami, Ashtami, and Navami. So, but of course, in a clay image, you cannot bathe her directly. So you take a reflection of a mirror in the mirror, and then you bathe her. So that mirror, traditionally, is, of course, darpana is metal. It's not a glass darpana.
Yeah.
But in the popular pujas, you see they have a glass darpan in most of the community pujas, because these traditions are eroding away. So there are only a few households who know that this mirror is supposed to be the metal mirror. It's like you have the Kerala Aranmula mirrors you have, right? Where you can actually see the face. So these aesthetics are getting lost. And when you say that you give you do a kalash abhishek, so many people have substituted the kalash with small tiny pots, but kalash is a big thing. So these aesthetics have to be brought back, and also mantrocharana, because of the regional linguistic variations, the mantrocharana of Bengal suffers a little. Like there is no distinction between wa and ba. Both are pronounced ba. Then there is no difference between sa and sha. So both is pronounced sha. So the problem with the Bengali tongue is because of the lack of the Sanskrit heritage. So people have, many of the mantras sound very distorted. So that is the place where I personally have tried to focus and revive things as much as I can. And I think in this case, Belur Math Ramakrishna Mission headquarters have been a source of inspiration, because
Were you initiated into this?
I have also initiated later on, but my inspiration from Belur Math goes back before I was initiated.
So was somebody doing this in your family, or you were the first
really,
one?
It's a self-taught. I self-learned it myself. So I think that was an important thing. These aesthetics should be preserved, because, like for example, garland making. In South India, how exquisite garlands are there. But if you go to the pandals here, you would see that there are very simple garlands, and they will go on heaving one garland on the deity after the other for 3 days, while the one that are below will rot and the others will stop, fall on the deity. So these sensibilities are lost. People don't realize what it means. So we follow Belur Math. We kind of remove the garlands every day and again put fresh garlands. So these kind of lots of misconceptions are there. And also there is a conception that once you have done the prana pratishtha, you cannot move the deity. So people are afraid to take off the garland lest the deity is shaken. But that's not actually the case. Actually, the brahmana, the purohita can always do. Any random person cannot come and touch the deity, but the purohita is entitled to touch the deity because it's a part of the seva. So these things Bengalis and North Indians, I would say, need to re-imbibe, and these aesthetics of puja has to be revived. That's a place where I try my best, and I am happy that through social media I have been able to influence quite a few amateur and professional people who kind of follow, and they also have started their own puja. So yes, so that's a great satisfaction. I think it's the mother's wish working through me. This is one thing.
And so Is there a platform where you try to sell your art, and how can the connoisseurs of art get to buy your products?
Yes, so I my signed prints are available on a platform called Karu. It's an art shop.
Is it KARU?
Karu, yeah, right.
Karu.com?
Karu.com. You'll find in also there's a website, and also in the Facebook, Instagram, it's all there. And also I sell personally from my own place also. And anybody who contacts me over a message or on Pauraniki, my page in Facebook, Pauraniki, so we also sell from there the direct artworks. For somebody wishing to collect the artworks directly, they have to contact me in person.
Are you teaching or are you proposing to teach this art form, the original,
I have just started. I have just started teaching 2 months now, because I had not been teaching for this long, because I was thinking that I am still a learner. While I still think that I am a learner, but I think it's time I should also give whatever I have learned. Okay.
Yeah.
So my learning has not finished, but I should start giving a little, because otherwise it'll, yeah. And also because one of the reasons which prompted me is because there is because of this onslaught of modern Western art, abstractionism and all that, there is a serious decline in Indian art, practice of Indian art amongst Indian artists, fine artists. I mean, I'm not speaking of the traditional painters and all, but the fine artists, art college students, they are not going into Indian art, like Nandalal Bose and Jamini Roy and all those old styles. They're not pursuing it anymore. So I think that should be revived, and more than that, the Indian ethos have to be imbibed, to the Indian artists. That the old masters of Bengal school art, they would offer some incense in the morning, bow down to Saraswati, then sit down on the floor, wear a dhoti, and then start painting. So while I'm not suggesting you should wear a dhoti and that, but that reverence, that bhava should be there. Otherwise, I think Indian art will not manifest in its complete potential. So,
Thank you, Halley. I had one question.
Yeah.
Since I've read your articles, I've followed you for years now, and so this is happening. Like, this is surreal. I'm sitting and in your home, talking to you, meeting you, looking at your artwork, listening to you. I've known that you talk about revival, restoration, traditions and all that. So have you met with any opposition?
No, not really. Not really. Not for my art, I think, not for my art. But yes, I'm opinionated about many things, about history, about narratives in history. So I think opinionated persons are always, they have their adversaries, If you do not have any opinion about anything, if you're a silent person, then everybody is okay with you. But if you have any strong opinions, good or bad, logical or illogical, there will be a section of people who will oppose you. But not related to art as much. That's also because I think, I also try to abide by the Shastras a little bit. So, I will not, if a random artist paints a goddess in nude, there can be outcry. But then I try to, even if it's nude, I try to maintain the bhava and as well as the art and the Shastras. For example, if I'm like this goddess here has a Vakshavandhani, which is like the Stanapatta. So because they are warrior goddess. So but this is an art. But if I'm making a murti for worshipping, because the sensibilities have changed so much in the last few centuries, so I would not do a Stanapatta back in my own pratima. Because unlike in South, this iconography has changed in Bengal. So people would prefer to see her in a sari. So that I maintain that where I'm doing what I'm doing for what. So this is for adorning the walls, it's fine. But if I'm making a pratima, I would not keep her uncovered.
So echoing the sentiments of the people.
Sentiments of the people, yeah.
And in keeping with the current times and traditions.
Because our gods also keep changing. If you see the Kangra paintings, Krishna is wearing the Mughal dresses, right? The Kangra Rajput. So now Krishna is wearing what kind of dresses? If you go back to Gupta period sculptures, you see Yashoda, she is not like the North Indian lady. She is like, open bosom and, that kind of with coiled matted hair. Not matted, but curled up hair, like the typical Gupta era sculptures. So I think, every time and again, like if you see the Mysore paintings, they're wearing blouse and all.
Correct.
But if you go to Chola, there is no blouse.
Correct.
so our gods are also evolving with the coming of the British and all.
Sure.
So I think we have to take in a little bit of that sensibilities when you are making something for worship.
Got it.
So this is how I balance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So, is
welcome.
this the murti that you sculpted?
Yes, this is a murti which I made for just for during the COVID time. So this is
Beautiful.
inspired by the Pala art, made in clay but given the finish of the stone.
Beautiful. Lovely. Good. It's lovely. Thank you so much,
Thank
Haley.
you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.